Let's talk about Dying Light 2. This is a game that has had a bit of a rocky development process. And that's an understatement. Yeah, that's an understatement. It's had an incredibly rocky development process. There was a point a couple of years ago where we were wondering if this game was dead in the water and wouldn't ever see the light of day. No pun intended there. But somehow through all of that, and they had, the Chris Avellone controversy was part of all of this. He was on as a staff writer, and then he wasn't because of the whole controversy with him, which, and now he's countersuing the people who made the allegations against him, stuff like that. So it was a mess. Plus, of course, COVID slowed things down, made things really difficult. And yet, somehow, they produced something really, really good. And, the reviews are reflecting that. My opinion reflects that. And of course, I'll be honst about what I like and what I don't.
Fun, right?
Lots of people having fun, and this kind of relates to our previous topic, or kind of our long-winded intro, I guess. It's a fun game that people are having fun with and playing and having fun. Isn't that what gaming?
That is a concept.
I know, like just fun. No in-game stores, no things popping up saying, "Hey, you can boost your XP for the next 30 minutes by doing this or spending this money here." Just it's just a game. It's just a game, man. It's just a game. That's fun.
It peaked at nearly 160,000 as far as like people playing it at the same time. The game has done quite well. Again, considering the opposition that it had, considering all the problems that it had, we can estimate that it probably have sold pretty close to 500,000 copies on Steam at the minimum, maybe more. And hopefully this game continues to do really, really well. The multiplayer functionality in it seems to work pretty decently. I do wish they had a character creator. Like, it's the second iteration in the story. You have tons of multiplayer capacity for it. I really wish these games would give you some character, some personality, because when you play multiplayer, you're playing as the same guy. So you're all played as the same guy.
Yeah, exactly. You're all the same. So I wonder if that's something they've got in the pipe for later. I mean, it feels like
I doubt it.
It feels like something that must have occurred to them. Like, okay, we're going to put co-op in this, but we're going to have a bunch of clones of the main guy running around.
Watching these people play it in our Discord, most of them don't care about that.
I agree. I don't think that's not enough to ruin my experience for sure. So to get into a bit of the nitty gritty of what I liked and didn't like about this game, Noshla asks, is it fun to dropkick zombies off the roof in Dying Light 2? The answer is unequivocally yes. Like, as far as yeses go, that is the most yes answer that I think I've ever answered on this podcast. It is a ton of fun to dropkick zombies off the roof in Dying Light 2. Actually, the combat and parkour are really fun, really satisfying overall. It started off a little slow, and so at first I wasn't sure. I was like, is this going to be all that good? But as you begin to accumulate points, level up, add skills, pick the skills that you're going to use, you start to speed up, you have more stamina, you have, it got really good really fast. And I'm 20 plus hours in, and I'm not even halfway through skill trees. I'm not halfway through discovering everything on the map. There's so much here, and I'm just discovering new things still 20 hours into the game. And it's gonna, it's gonna depend on how you play. I've split my time about 50-50 between story quests and side quests and just general exploration, encounters, things like that. But what I'm finding, the progression is slow, which I actually like. It's solid and it's satisfying. Like, you feel like you're really earning every point and every bit of XP that you get. So I really like that. I also really like, even though it's really frustrated me at a few points, the game does not hold your hand. If you try to do something that's beyond your level, the world just kicks your ass with no apologies and sends you home. And I really like that too. Trying to climb a windmill that, I didn't have the stamina for, and I fell off it about 5 times. I was like, what's going on here? I look at the map. Oh, this is a level 4. Okay, I'm a level 1. I guess I'm not going to be doing this for a while. So I actually, while it is frustrating, I like it. I like that as, that it's immersive to not have the game constantly be, bringing up pop-ups saying, your level is not high enough for this. So I really appreciate that aspect of the game. But yes, the parkour is really fun. The skills that you can unlock in the parkour are just... And because you're unlocking them one at a time, and it's like, oh, you get to try this out now. It's like you get really good at doing certain things, and then you get another thing you can do, and then you get another thing you can do. Really like how the progression feels in this game. Same with combat. I just unlocked the drop kick. No, I'm not playing the game on easy mode. Arturo. The only reason I'm not playing it on hard mode, on the hardest mode, is because I have to make progress in order to get guides done. But no, it's not on easy. I'm on the medium, whatever the medium is. But anyway, so where was I? Oh yeah, combat. So I just unlocked the drop kick, and the combination of the combat parkour stuff is really good as well. Like how you can not just stagger an enemy by a well-timed block, you can then vault over them and kick another enemy, drop kick another guy off the roof, leap up onto something, and then do like a parkour kick. There's a lot of kicking, but there's a lot of other a lot of other moves too. The weapon modding system. Weapons are 100% disposable. There's no weapon you're going to grab that you're using through the entire gameplay, because they wear out and break eventually. And so you kind of got to pick which weapons you're going to hang on to. You got to have some spares. I like the modding system. I'm finding that it's really hard to upgrade things, and I wonder if I'm just not doing enough grindy stuff. But so I don't know. I might have bumped up the amount of, or bumped down the amount of rare resources it takes to upgrade your craftables just slightly. But other than that, I really like the balance. So the open world is it's very seamless. It's very immersive. And I'm really liking the quests. The quests and activities are pretty interesting. So not too much repetitiveness aside from the encounters. The encounters are, kind of RNG or like procedurally. They're these like mini quests you encounter on the map, where it's like, oh, somebody's being attacked, go save them, or oh, there's bandits, kill these 3 guys, and then you get some loot. Really quick little quests that are pretty repetitive. But other than that, like, a lot of it is really immersive. Not a lot of, fetch questy kind of go here, kill everything, get the MacGuffin. So, yeah, definitely appreciating that. There's a lot of creativity that goes into these quests, and even like the parkour challenges. There's parkour challenges everywhere where you have to run around, these various rooftops and buildings and things and hit all these checkpoints. But they even, they dress those up in and they're all, it's a series of challenges. So yeah, they're all kind of the same, but you run a different course for each one. But it's not, some of them are just a sign that you encounter that's like, hey, do this parkour challenge. But there's other ones that are like, you got to deliver this water to people in a certain amount of time, or you got to, deliver these things. So they've even they put the extra effort in to dress some of those up in interesting ways. So I definitely do like that. Some of my favorites are things like the military convoys. Like there's a crashed military convoy. There's resources inside this one truck if you can get to it and lockpick it, but there's like zombies everywhere around it. How are you going to get to it? Can you lure them away? Are you going to fight them all? There's like 20 of them. A lot of these seemingly simple quests or activities involved a lot of thought. It's like, how am I actually going to approach this? So, am I going to wait till night and try to sneak in there while they're right up against the door? And if I try to, I'm going to die if I just try to run in there and grab the stuff, because I have to take the time to lockpick. And the world does not freeze around you when you're lockpicking stuff. Unlike some...
Unlike Skyrim?
Yeah, exactly. The zombies will eat your face while you're trying to pick a lock. So, you gotta figure stuff out. Lots of variety. I like the electrical stations. I like the... there was a quest with a dog that this is one of them, probably I'm not gonna go into spoilers, but this dog and a couple of kids are missing, and it's like, okay, we think they're over there. Anyway, I happen to be in the area, and suddenly I hear this dog barking. And then I remembered, I was like, oh yeah, that side quest, it's the middle of the day, and it's like, there's these kids in this dark zone. I just realized. And the dark zones during the day are full of, they're full of enemies. They're full of zombies because they stay out of the sunlight. And it was just a really memorable moment that I actually remembered that I even had this quest and was triggered to do it by hearing a dog barking and being like, I gotta go check this out, even though it's the middle of it. And I could have just, gone and slept somewhere till nighttime till it was safer. But just in terms of actual immersion and role playing, I was like, well, I got to do this now. I got to rescue these kids. So some very cool moments. The day-night cycle also, as I just mentioned, it impacts the game heavily. Like, the world is very different at night than it is during the day. So those are all things that I liked. Just looking through some of the chat comments here. So Notional says, when I played the first Dying Light, I was not missing a character creator. Dying Light was great for mechanics more so than the story character. I agree. That's more what the game is about. And so it doesn't suffer. It's not like, I don't think it's bad because it doesn't.
No, I don't think it's bad because of it. Like I said, Master Chief and how many other games do the exact same thing.
Would it have been nice? Yes, it would have been. But again, it's not like the game.
My question in that regard is like, is the sticking power, of it? Mm-hmm. Would it be better if you had the ability to customize your character a little bit more? That's the question I'm asking. I'm not saying it's a bad game because of that, because again, there's a lot of games that don't have character creators, and I'm just wondering, in the age of multiplayer, is that more of an important thing when it comes to multiplayer capacity? That's the question.
Will it have the sticking power? I mean, I guess that comes down to I think what they're planning to deliver. Apparently they have a 5-year plan for this game.
All right. Well, in that case, if they have a 5-year plan with it, I might say that a character creator is probably in that mix somewhere.
All right. So Polly says, yes, you can get kicked from the roof yourself. That's true. That's happened to me too. The enemies have the same moves you have. And they're no joke either. Like, they have good combat moves. You can get... Polly says, I got kicked down an elevator shaft by an enemy and died. Because you have the human enemies as well as the zombies. And you have to have very different tactics for each kind of enemy if you're engaging in hand-to-hand combat. Because there's no guns. You get a bow and arrow at one point, but there's no guns.
I trolled Polly's and a couple other guys playing in the Discord. On the second day it was out, I came in and I asked them if they found the love scene between the zombie and the human that's an homage to the movie called Warm Bodies that came out on Valentine's Day a couple years ago. And they were really disgusted until I told them that I made it up. So yeah, if you want to troll somebody, just troll them with that.
Nice.
It was a pretty funny reaction. They were like, "What? What? Are you kidding? Are you kidding?" And I'm like, "Yes, I'm kidding."
All right. So, what did I not like about the game? Did I talk about the open world? Yeah, I did. Open world's really good. Aside from a couple of, there are places where you find some of the buildings have been copied and pasted, or some arrangement of things. It's like, okay, I mean, you kind of have to expect that on a game of this scale, but for the most part, yeah, running around is really fun. Thinking like, okay, I got to get over there. What's over the edge of this building as you're running toward it? Like, is there something I'm going to be able to land on, or am I going to have to stop, or like, is there something I can jump to? Lots of fun stuff. What's bad about the game? Well, kind of buggy. There's some small bugs. I got random frame drops, like frame rate drops, significant frame rate drops. After playing for a while, it would drop down to like 10, 15 frames per second. Reboot the game, that was fixed. Don't know what was causing it, but it would just seemingly happen randomly. There's a glitch where if I would fall off a building, just before hitting the ground, my character would like freeze in the air for a little while. It almost felt like we'd lost connection to the server, and we were just waiting to register whether or not my character was going to hit the ground and die, which made it a little hard to, because you can get a skill where, you can roll when you hit the ground and it lessens your damage or eliminates your damage because video game logic. But anyway, so weird stuff like that. There are some weird animations. There's a problem with the custom key binding that I hope they fix soon. And a bug where I have quests that I didn't complete are marked as completed in my quest list, but the indicators for them are still on the map because I hadn't actually completed them, and so they're just kind of in limbo. And so, anyway, I don't know what's causing that. But overall, minor stuff. I'm encountering like maybe 2 or 3 bugs per hour of playing, or 1 to 2 hour play session. And Techland's working on it, so not enough to completely ruin my experience or anything. The only other thing I really didn't like is that some of the voice acting is a disaster, especially when you have some of the child characters.
That's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
And
I wonder if it just was not written in English originally, like it's from a Polish developer, so it was something lost in translation, or do you have people who directing these?
High chance of that.
Yeah, people directing these kids whose their first language isn't English. I mean, that might have something to do with it. So now, I have some points about things that I consider to be sort of middling or average about the game, and story and characters. Now, I think the story is the thing that's getting the most criticism in terms of what people don't like about this game. I agree, they're not. It's not like an epic, groundbreaking story, but it's not bad either. The main character, Aiden, I wish we had more backstory on him and the reason, like what's driving him in this story. You kind of get thrown into it and are introduced to why Aiden's doing things in flashbacks, which is okay. But yeah, I agree with the comments about that, or the people who have said that it's hard to get emotionally invested in Aiden and some of the other. I actually like a lot of the other characters that you encounter in this city, but anyway, haven't gotten to the end of the story. I do kind of know what happens because I looked ahead, but the story's not terrible. I would say it's average. It's average. Now, as far as choice and consequence, this is another thing that has disappointed some people, is that we were promised this game where your choices really affect the world. And in some ways they do, and in some ways they don't. Your city alignment choices, because for some reason you have the supreme authority to assign regions of the city to either of the main two factions. Video game logic, I don't know. But so, and when
he's just got that winning personality.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he's the only one with the skills to climb up and get into these places. So you have to go in and activate them, and then you can assign them to one of the factions. And apparently that gives you the right to just decide who's in control. So that your choices as far as city alignment, it affects the world around you significantly. If you give the facilities to the survivors, each facility you give to the survivors, you unlock a survivor perk, which adds like parkour equipment around the city in each area that they control. And then if you give it to the peacekeepers, they install traps in each area of the city that they control. Now you unlock their top level perks if you give one faction all of the different areas, then you unlock better and better perks for them. You can't unlock everything on both sides. You have to pick and choose. So it's kind of interesting in that effect, because it literally does affect how you go about and interact with the world and what you're able to do. But these city alignment choices, have zero impact on the story at all, except for the very first facility that you assign to a faction. That is also a story choice. But yeah, your story choices will change which quest you get next, but not really. They don't affect your. It's not like it's a massive branching story. You're choosing the connection path between the same story beats, basically. So this is kind of toned down from, I think, what people were expecting and what we were maybe originally promised by the developer. So, point of discussion on this: how many times have devs promised big open worlds with choices that have huge impact, only for the impact to feel average at best? And are we even at a point where a big butterfly effect sandbox world is achievable?
Like, there was tech that was able to create this, but it is now sitting in a Russian hard asset vault, and it was not perfected. It was a ways away from being like actually like usable in that level. So yeah, and that was my next question: is has anyone really pulled it off? Because I can't think of a game where they've pulled it off. No, it's simply like there are some like text-based ones that or games that are extremely limited graphics that claim to be able to do that, but that is very much an exaggeration on anybody's like perspective of like how things work. That is a math, like, oh well, such and such game was able to do it. It's like, yeah, but that's through text. We don't have the technology to do that with an actual living world, like not even in the slightest.
Yeah, and I think there's games like Turkey Master points out that Detroit Become Human came closest.
But that is room-based micro choices. So the environment is changing, like is not changing hardly at all. The choices are, so like, again, if you're pointing out or you're pointing to just a generalized like choice-driven experience, is like text games have been doing this for ages and ages and ages, but it's easy for them to do it, and it's very difficult for other gaming concepts to do it, especially like 3D worlds or like anything that has any like ounce of like factions or multiplayer, that stuff like that. It's very difficult to have that like factor into that aspect. So, but
they do have a system where you make choices that do significantly affect the world, even though it's not this big dynamic system. You do each area that you give control to a certain faction, it changes that area, and you get like different structures pop up, and then the survivors put in, like I said, these parkour assist things that help you in traversal, and the peacekeepers put in traps and combat things to help you if you're fighting the zombie hordes. So it's enough that I want to do a second playthrough and side with the other faction just to experience the game that way, and also experience the other quests, because then there's points in the story where you make a certain choice and suddenly you've made an enemy of an important character on the other side. and are fighting, and fighting against them. And if you had sided with them, you'd be fighting against the people you're currently allied with. And so there's enough there that I do want to experience a second playthrough.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the choices affect the ending you get. Again, I don't know how the ending, there are different endings. There's good endings and bad endings. Are they drastically different? No. Like, again, the story follows the same beats for the most part. But I agree with IX saying the choices were mismarketed. Yeah, I agree. And that was, of course, years ago. And I think they realized they had overpromised.
I think the mistake is that, like, a lot of these games are overpromising. I mean, like, what's the best game that's overpromised? Star Citizen! 10 years now. It has now been a decade in development. A decade in full-blown development. And we still can't play the darn game. Wow. Just wow.
K-Truck says, loving Dying Light 2. Got 25 hours in so far. That's about where I am too, yeah. I like the story, but some characters put me to sleep. Yeah, I can agree with that. Polly says, the story is good for me. I finished it, and I like it. It's not the best story in the world, but it's a solid story, and it did a good enough job to keep me interested. Based on the portion of the story that I've experienced, I can absolutely agree. I can absolutely agree with that. Final thoughts. I give this a very high rating. If I had to give it a number, I would give it an 8.5 out of 10. I love this game. I'm just having a blast with it. Again, I wasn't sure about it at the beginning. I wasn't sure how much I would get into it, but I'm really, really, again, as I'm progressing through it, improving my character, discovering new things, I'm having a blast with it. Currently sitting at about an 8 to an 8.5 out of 10, and the people in our community who are playing it, and some of whom have finished it, are saying the same thing. So if it's the type of thing you like, then this is a solid entry in this genre. So if you're a fan of this type of genre, definitely check it out. And as far as if you're tired of zombie stuff, I was talking to my brother-in-law about this. He said he wasn't terribly interested in it because he was tired of zombie stuff. I can understand that, but at the same time, I keep forgetting there are zombies in this game. Because I get so wrapped up in everything else that's going on, and then I'll run out onto the street, and it's like, oh yeah, there's zombies here. Time for the running away now.
Zombies is one of those things. So it's just the perennial. It's like werewolves and vampires, but actually on a much shorter loop, where people get tired of zombies in their media. But then all it takes is like one. It's only ever like one IP or one story away from it being the number one like seller of that year again. And so it's just kind of cool to see and be reminded that there's always, like, whenever you're like, I don't like this trope. It's like, well, you just wait until they're back again because
Well, it's also about what the creative vision for it is. Like, zombies are the backdrop of this game. It's the apocalypse that they've gone with. And there's a zillion different types of apocalypse scenarios now, but they went with zombies, and it's the backdrop, but the game is not kill hordes of zombies. The game is a lot bigger than that. It's built on this backdrop, and they built something good on this, rather standard type of scenario, the zombie apocalypse. But they've done something really well and really creative with it, so it doesn't feel tired and old to me. The zombie stuff actually works really well, in my opinion. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, sub, and hit that notification bell, and then check out some of these other videos. Find the link to our Discord server and other important stuff in the description below.
Rotate.